Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the presentation of colors, the national anthem, and the invocation.
Up.
Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors, ports, arms.
Fifes up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in prayer. Almighty God, our eternal Father, we come to you with a deep gratitude in our heart for all the gifts you give us each day. Family, friends, loved one, and our great nation. Lord, today our hearts are filled with happiness as we come to celebrate the 43rd DoD Disability Awards ceremony. We give you thanks that you gave these people the integrity and strength to make it through this far. We give you thanks for their courage to follow their vision and see it to fruition. To all of these who will step up and be recognized today, I ask that you give a sense of pride in their accomplishment. Also remind them in their future that you are interested in their success and they are never alone in their journeys. Lord, we also take a moment to pray for the men and women walking throughout the world today to support and defend our mighty nation. May your hands of protection surround them and their families. For all these things we pray in your most holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. Good afternoon again, and welcome to the Department of Defense 43rd Annual Disability Award Ceremony. I am Charmaine Johnson, Director for Disability, Accessibility, Special Emphasis Program Policy and Outreach in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Today we gather to celebrate the collective commitment of the Department of Defense to a future where every individual is valued, empowered, and equipped to serve our great nation. It is my privilege to welcome to the podium a true champion of change and my boss, Dr. Lisa Arfa, Director of the Department of Defense's Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Ma'am.
Thank you, Charmaine. Thank you for that warm welcome, and good afternoon, everyone. The Honorable Vazirani, distinguished guests, award recipients, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 43rd Annual Department of Defense Disability Awards Ceremony. Thank you for being here today as we recognize DoD personnel and programs for their exemplary achievements in advancing equal employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. It is going to be a great afternoon, and so I do not delay us any further. I would like you to join me in giving a warm welcome to our Acting Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, the Honorable Ashish Vazirani. Sir.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a blessing to be here. And Chaplain, thank you for those kind words and the words of inspiration. And I think we owe a round of applause to the soldiers from the Old Guard who presented that music in the national anthem. So just give a round of applause for them. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to open this award ceremony. And I'd like to start by thanking Dr. Arfa and her team in the Office for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, along with our OFR and DHRA teams. They're making an incredible difference for our department and ensure that all people who serve in defense of our country, civilian and military, can serve with dignity and respect. Because of their work, our workforce, which represents the best of America, means our diversity is an outcome. On behalf of the hardworking service members and civilian employees of our department, I want to thank all of you for joining us today at the 43rd Department of Defense Disability Awards Ceremony. It's a great privilege to stand before you, representing the department, as we celebrate and honor individuals and components that have made exceptional contributions to our mission. I'm also eager to hear from Mr. Jim Warren, who's our keynote speaker. Sir, thank you for honoring us with your participation.
Pleasure.
I'd also like to extend my congratulations to this year's individual awardees. Your unwavering dedication and service has contributed greatly to the department's success and strength. Your exceptional service highlights the diverse strengths and capabilities that all individuals bring to the table. I also want to recognize the Department of Defense components being honored for their commitment as employers to creating a more equitable workplace for employees with disabilities. This is a crucial step towards unlocking the full potential of our organization. Today, I'm proud to highlight the Department of Defense's accomplishments in promoting the inclusion of individuals with disabilities within our workforce. We honor various DoD components for their exemplary leadership in policies, practices, and targeted outreach to employ individuals with disabilities. They demonstrate a deep commitment to accessing the full potential of a diverse talent pool. Though we are recognizing various DoD components today for their achievements, I'm pleased to report that DoD is making progress in advancing inclusion and opportunity for individuals with disabilities throughout the department. This year's theme for National Disability Employment Awareness Month is Advancing Access and Equity. This theme emphasizes that each member of our workforce brings unique talents and perspectives essential to meeting the workforce and mission demands of DoD. As we celebrate this year's theme, let's remember that creating an inclusive workforce is not just a goal, but a shared responsibility. Recognizing and leveraging our diverse strengths as an integrated total force is key to maintaining our intellectual advantage, technological edge, military superiority. By harnessing varied talents within our community, we utilize the full potential of our workforce, enhance our ability to defend the nation. We know that people with different abilities within our workforce enriches our strategic capabilities. Diversity within our teams fosters innovation and creative problem solving. DoD has created various programs to promote inclusion and accessibility for people with disabilities. These programs include the Workforce Recruitment Program and Operation Warfighter, a Wounded Warrior Care and Transition Program. These programs have been instrumental in providing employment opportunities not just within the DoD, but throughout the federal government for people with disabilities. It's quite personal for me. You see, my dad, a Marine who lost his sight in Vietnam, continued serving as a federal employee, focused on employment opportunities for veterans until he retired. His advocacy for veterans, particularly those with sensory disabilities, continued until he passed. He used to say, "My best work started after I lost my sight." So today we acknowledge and congratulate the DoD components who successfully utilize these programs. I encourage you to continue to use and expand these vital initiatives and to champion these programs with your colleagues throughout the department. Through our joint efforts, we will improve accessibility and promote a diverse and inclusive workforce where every qualified person has an opportunity to fully contribute their talents, serve with dignity, and help the department achieve our mission. I'll finish where I started, with gratitude. I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your time and your thoughts, and good afternoon again, everyone. I would like to extend my congratulations to the 23 employees and 4 components being honored today. Thank you for your outstanding service and exemplary employment practices in hiring, retaining, promoting, and advancing individuals with disabilities. This is what creates and enhances our total force readiness. For the last 43 years, we have recognized the outstanding contributions of individuals with disabilities and those making remarkable strides in fostering a more diverse and inclusive workforce. Each October, we celebrate National Disability Employment Awareness Month to nurture a greater understanding of the value that individuals with disabilities bring to the workforce, and with the hopes that such recognition contributes to breaking down present barriers. As Undersecretary Vazirani said, this year's theme is Advancing Access and Equity, then, now, and next. And it highlights DoD's commitment to advancing access and equity throughout all of our ranks. We also recognize and celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which has enabled individuals with disabilities to contribute to our workforce and to actively participate in every facet of American life. I would be remiss if I did not mention the Americans with Disabilities Act and the positive impacts the ADA has had in the lives of millions of Americans. Because of the ADA, employers are required to provide reasonable accommodations to individuals with disabilities and to offer essential, adaptive, and accessible strategies such as remote work, digital conferences, and spoken descriptions. These have not only enabled people with disabilities to participate in work, but also have evolved into the universal standard that is likely to persist into our future. Section 10 of President Biden's Executive Order 14035, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility in the Federal Workforce stipulates that all federal agencies have a fundamental obligation to create a work environment that is fair, accessible, and inclusive for employees with disabilities. In alignment with these principles, the DoD must enhance its capacity to attract, hire, retain, and promote the most talented individuals our nation has to offer, while also actively working to eliminate obstacles that hinder equal opportunities for our employees. This commitment to equity and inclusivity serves as a beacon guiding our actions and decisions. Research shows that there are a wide range of benefits to employing people with disabilities. As a group, they exhibit higher retention rates, lower turnover rates, and are recorded with higher reliability, punctuality, and productivity. Yet, as of August 2023, only 41.2% of working age individuals with disabilities are employed, compared to 78.2% of their counterparts without disabilities. The federal government has committed to addressing this employment disparity by providing opportunities and programs to increase the number of individuals with disabilities employed by the government. DoD supports the federal government's commitment to address this employment disparity by not only increasing the number of individuals with disabilities in the workforce, but also by becoming a model employer for individuals with disabilities, to include veterans. The department has created, as the Undersecretary mentioned, several government-wide programs to attract talented people with disabilities to federal government, including the Workforce Retirement Recruitment Program and Operation Warfighter, which is within Wounded Warrior Care and Transition Program. We recognize and appreciate the military and DoD components who are successfully utilizing these programs, and we encourage you to continue to do so, and please help us expand them. Even as we advance towards our goals, we must recognize that our work within the disability community is not done. The contributions of today's awardees have furthered the path to equity for people with disabilities and strengthened our workforce. I am confident DoD will continue to meet mission requirements because of employees like you. And I want to thank you personally for your dedication to the department and your contributions to strengthen the readiness of our all-volunteer force. I also want to thank your supervisors and their leadership for recognizing your excellence. And of course, we want to thank your fellow teammates and family members for continuing to support you. While only 4 DoD components, including 1 military department, are being recognized for their achievements today, I am pleased to report that all are making progress to advance inclusion and employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities and wounded warriors throughout DoD. The department applauds your efforts and encourages your continued progress. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today to recognize these most deserving honorees, and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Arfa. It is now my distinct honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Jim E. Warren. Jim Warren, also known as Jim Kills on Horseback Warren, played in the National Football League as an offensive tackle. He was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals in 1987 after playing in the Rose Bowl championship with Arizona State University. He also spent time with the Detroit Lions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and San Francisco 49ers. After the NFL, he was drafted to play in the World League, NFL Europe. Earlier this year, he was inducted into the North American Indigenous Athletic Hall of Fame. A proud member of the Oglala Lakota Sioux Nation, Mr. Warren's background is as diverse as it is impressive. Born to a mother who grew up on the Pine Ridge Reservation and a father who was experienced in international business, Mr. Warren's family history is marked by a commitment to education and cultural diversity. He holds degrees from Arizona State University and San Diego State University, where he also created continuing education programs for over 2 decades. Mr. Warren's impact extends far beyond academia. with a legacy of securing millions of dollars in grants and contracts for universities and tribal nations. Currently, he serves as the Community Engagement and Diversity Director at the University of South Dakota's Center for Disabilities, among other roles. He is also a passionate advocate and motivational speaker, having testified before Congress, contributing to the dialogue on cultural diversity and workforce inclusion and film production. His award-winning documentaries have been recognized for their excellence. Mr. Warren's dedication to promoting indigenous culture and breaking down stereotypes has garnered him numerous honors, including induction into the Susan M. Daniels Disability Mentor Hall of Fame. He continues to inspire through his work using film and education as powerful tools for change. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm DOD welcome for Mr. Jim Kills on Horseback Warren.
Hey. Thank you so much for that introduction. I don't know if this gets any taller or not, but but it is quite an honor to be in this room. And how does everybody feel today? Hey, all right. You know, this is a day of celebration because we're celebrating our current warriors that are serving our nation. I'm already off script. I apologize. I wasn't a good actor, But greetings and palamia in my language is thank you for this invitation to join you today at the Secretary of Defense Disability Employment Awards. This is a great honor for me as I'm representing many members of my family with you today. I am from the Oglala Lakota Oceti Sakowin, more commonly known in America as the Great Sioux Nation. My great-grandfather Stabber represented the Oglala Lakota tribal nation, joining Chief Red Cloud and 15 other tribal leaders during peace negotiations here at the White House with President Grant. Obviously, those negotiations didn't go quite well. War continued for 20 more years, but we are very proud of Grandpa Stabber and how he represented the Oyate, the people. We found photos at the Library of Congress of Great-Grandpa Stabber, Red Cloud, and other Lakota leaders that attended that 1872 White House Peace Summit. And that was a wonderful day to have my mom see pictures of Grandpa Stabber that we haven't seen ever before. And that was a great day. I even asked, how much would it cost to purchase these photos? And they said $150,000 each. And I go, how about a copy? Hey. Oh, my mom's dad, Grandpa Louis Stabber, served in the Navy during World War II. We were told he was a gunner during the war. And we're very proud of him as a member of the Oglala Lakota and a warrior. It was his calling to join the Navy and to defend our homelands. When he returned from war, he had difficult challenges in South Dakota. As many of our veterans face similar challenges when they return from combat, whether through healthcare disparities or lack of acknowledgement from the public. Generations ago, we as tribal nations were combatants under the Department of War. Fast forward to today. Now, tribal members of tribal nations are the highest per capita representation in military service. So I have many family members that are part of the warrior society that we are amongst here today, as all of you are warriors in your own way. As many of my family veterans and represented the military in a good way, including his son, my uncle Alvin Stabber, who is also a paratrooper in the Army. My wife Jill, the boss lady, hey, is from the Hoopa tribe in Northern California. Her grandfather, Clem Bussell, served in World War I in France and Germany and earned a Purple Heart as well as other medals. His son served in World War II, and his grandsons also served in Vietnam. It is a special person who chooses to serve and protect others. We have several of those warriors with us in this room today, and I thank you very much for what you do and making a difference. Therefore, it is imperative that we provide not only culturally responsive disability services to all our military veterans and service members, because these are the nation's current warriors. As the highest serving population, we also do need more services for our tribal members, our warriors that return from war as well. My mom, hello mom, hey, Beverly Stabber Warren. She has been a nurse for over 60 years and she's still working at 84 years old today. So she said, she says she flunked retirement. But she's not burned out. Apparently she's not going to. But that was her calling to continue to educate others in terms of nursing. Mentoring and training student nurses is her calling. And she created the Native American Nursing Education Center at South Dakota State University due to the lack of Native nurses. When she tried to retire from Arizona State and moved home to South Dakota, they found out she was in town. So when she arrived, they asked her to help do something with the low retention rate and low representation of Native nurses at South Dakota State. There were only 4 Native nurses when she started there. Now there's over 30. 4 graduated just last year. So she is making a difference, and it's wonderful to follow her lead. Let me see here. Oh, one of her new nursing students is from the Airborne, from the Iraq War. He's a veteran, Brendan Whitebird, and he has chosen nursing to continue his service to others. And on a personal note, whenever I need a nurse, I'm glad to have someone that's strong that can lift a big person. Hey. My dad, Jim Sr., he's the strongest man I know. He just happened to use a wheelchair. I saw the man, not the chair. And that was something that I grew up with. He's from the Northman people, the Viking nations, right? So both the Lakota and Viking nations are big and tall people. So that kind of explains me, right? For those that may be listening and don't have the visual ability or access, I'm a classic definition of a big and tall Native American man. So I am 6'7", 296 actually, lost 2 more pounds, hey. I always say a biscuit shy of 300 was my goal, and I'm a few biscuits shy now. But I got up to 370, and obviously that was too big, you know. So as a result, I had 3 heart attacks and a 4-way bypass, and I want to continue being a grandpa, so I'm listening to what I need to do to live longer as best I can. American Indian men, unfortunately in America, the life expectancy for us is 58 years old, the lowest of any other race in America. I'm currently 58. Next month I'll be 59, and hopefully we'll be an outlier in those statistics. I want to continue my work as a grandpa. Dad lived with multiple sclerosis for 37 years. He was a great role model of strength and continued to work with his disability prior to ADA. Thank you for mentioning the Americans with Disabilities Act. Many of us are well aware of the disability warriors like Judith Heumann, Justin Dart, and so many other advocates that pushed society and Congress to pass the ADA in 1990. ADA is essentially civil rights for people with disabilities. We need to advocate to pass federal law for self-determination for people with disabilities, as well as for Native people. So we both needed federal law to pass, to just have self-determination. It's unfortunate that we need federal acts for this as human beings, people with disabilities, Native people, but fortunately that's what America is all about. And that's where we have that right to be advocates, to be able to defend our rights as human beings in this wonderful country we now call America. Federal law supports all of these ideas, not only for Indian country, but fortunately federal acts have supported military veterans to improve services and improved health care. It's still lacking, I'm sure many of you are aware, right? But it's getting better. It's taking time. You may have heard of Indian time. I call it federal time. So, back to my dad, Pops. He faced significant discrimination due to his disability, but always moved forward and took care of our family. That's what I always remember. He had a government job in Arizona where he was fired for not being able to complete some minor tasks for his job due to his disabilities. And of course, pre-ADA, that was allowed. I remember the family meeting when he told us he was fired and we need to be prepared as a family if he was not able to go back to work. Now I'm a father and a grandfather, and I can only imagine the difficulty and pain he had when he had to call that family meeting after having that negative experience of being fired due to his disability. So he had us prepared. But I recall as a kid when the family meeting occurred, I thought, well, Pops is always working. He's always doing something, wheelchair or not. So that's what I saw. I wasn't worried. For whatever reason, I was not worried. That was Pops, you know. Of course, I was a kid, and he was my role model, and I trusted Pops to take care of us. And he faced this ignorance and discrimination with empowerment and grace. He was a great role model for me. It took many years to diagnose MS in the 1970s, but when he finally knew what was finding access for his wheelchair to get through the kitchen. What a wonderful experience that was for me as a 10 or 11-year-old. That was empowering for me to just do that for my dad, to tell the managers, this needs to move these crates of eggs, whatever, right? But Dad's gonna eat here. And that was a wonderful experience as a young person to be able to do that for my dad. Of course, it was Mom's orders. Mom is a strong Oglala Lakota res woman, I like to say. Advocacy, that's important. Advocacy is an important aspect of life that allows us freedoms and rights to live our lives as members of this nation. Dad was well known in the city of Tempe in Arizona. He would call and call and call again until they finally listened. And in our neighborhood, we got curb cuts, pre-ADA. We got a lot of different areas where they actually opened an accessible apartment housing because of Dad's work pre-ADA, where wheelchairs could have access and he could roll to the grocery store himself. So thank you, Dad, for that advocacy. Again, pre-ADA was another memory of him, which was very cool to remember. He would roll up to people that parked in handicapped parking, right? So he'd roll up there in his Amigo scooters. Does anyone remember the old Amigos? Hey? But he would roll up to them and they would be parked there without their appropriate license plate. And he would say, I'm happy to give you my parking spot if you give me your ability to walk. That's a good trade, isn't it? Yeah. Right? That was cool, not only to see people's shameful reactions, but that was my dad standing up for not only for himself, but all people with disabilities. That also was empowering. Does anyone know where the term handicap comes from? Yep, a few of you do in this room. It originates in the United Kingdom, referring to people with disabilities as hand in cap. Beggars in the street, begging for money with cap in hand. I'm glad we now use human first language, because that's obviously not what our people with disabilities represent, particularly in this country. And that's what I'm very proud of, to be a part of the disability movement. If we are fortunate to live a long life, we'll all have a disability in some form. It's just a natural part of the life cycle. Back to Dad's family meeting after he was fired by the state of Arizona. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't only Arizona. All states discriminated in those days against people with disabilities. That just happened to be our experience as a family. He did get another job. He worked as a realtor at Red Carpet Realty Company. Do you recall the red jackets back in the 70s and 80s? I'm dating myself, obviously. They had a competitor that wore yellow jackets back then, but one of my summer jobs as a kid was to mow that very large lawn at Red Carpet Realty office. It was a chore, but I had to finish the job, and that's where I started learning my work ethic from my parents. After completing my job mowing the lawn, I recall going into his office and looking around, and I noticed 8 bestseller awards out of the year, monthly awards. So he won 8 out of 12 months. His retort to me was, yeah, son, I let 4 get by, right? Could you imagine trying to show a house pre-ADA from an Amigo wheelchair? That was my dad. So one of the sayings when I'm working and teaching younger generations, I always ask, What kind of footprints will you leave? What will you do to represent your family and people in a good way? Dad proved that he could make a difference and leave his footprints for future generations. Pops ended up leaving wheel prints and continued that for many of us to follow, including myself. It does not matter what kind of print you leave, be it footprints, wheel prints, prosthetic prints, cane prints, whatever print. You just need to leave a print for future generations. The people in this room are leaving prints, and that's what I like to see. Dad would say, son, it's hard getting old. I used to be 6'4", now I'm 4'6". That's when he was using his wheelchair. His humor was contagious, and that's how he dealt with his disability and changing physical abilities over the years as MS is progressive. Many family members, when he finally could not work anymore and was at home, they'd come by to visit him and to cheer old Pops up. Let's go cheer him up. But they left feeling better about themselves as a result of his ability to make others feel better and not concentrate on the difficulties that he had. That was a wonderful example. He was still making his positive prints from his hospital bed in terms of our family and friends and others. I could always count on him and Mom being in the wheelchair section at Arizona State Stadium, where I could look up and see them cheering. So I had a wonderful wheelchair section fan club. And that was awesome, because he was always there. He was going to be there, no matter what. He was a good family man and role model for my brother and myself. That's how I viewed my dad. I didn't see a wheelchair, I saw Pops. I devoted my professional career for tribal members with disabilities in honor of my dad and my mom. I work with various universities and have traveled to over 150 tribal nations. It's a very diverse world of Indian country. This is my commitment to the culture of disability as well as the culture of indigenous people. The military is sometimes the only option for our young ones on the reservation, in these impoverished communities. They choose the military in search of a better life. Many come home with new skills they learned through the military for vocational opportunities post-service. Others come home with new disabilities as a result of their service to our country and are in need of services. I am not exempt from disability. Another unfortunate reality is tribal members have the highest rate of disability than any other race in the United States. I have CTE, so I'm part of the NFL concussion group there. I've had a few grand mal seizures, not for a while. I share challenges of life's expectancy. I'm very fortunate to be allowed to leave more footprints for future generations. My dad would always say, do the best you can under the circumstances. And he was saying this from either a wheelchair or a hospital bed. So he was still my role model no matter how sick he got through MS. I'm so thankful to have him in my life. So he was continued to be a positive, empowering, no matter his situation, what we call disability in the American language, in the English language. I choose to work in the disability field, creating indigenous disability programs throughout the nation. As mentioned in my introduction, I've spent my life in academia, focused on disabilities, particularly for underserved populations and Indian country. Lastly, my wife Jill was hit head-on 90 miles per hour by a drunk driver 7 years ago. After a few surgeries, we were told she was going to lose her leg. I immediately began looking for prosthetics with high heels. She loves her high heels. Right? And prosthetics back then, even 7 years ago, they're even better now. It's amazing what they're doing with technology, and we need to continue to support that. So prosthetics did not have to be an option because after 3 bone grafts and 3 years of being in a chair, she was able to walk with 7 rods, 28 pins, and screws. I now feel it when she pushes me around. Hey. Her positivity is contagious as well, just like Pop's. And down to her new pigeon toe, as we say. She laughs about when she saw herself walking towards a glass door and admiring, oh, look at those shoes. Those are nice shoes. And she realized that it was her feet with the great shoes and the pigeon toe. I always think, oh, now she has a cute little pigeon toe as she strolls. Her strength comes from laughing instead of crying. And her recent onset disabilities, did not stop her either, like the ones that are in this room. When my wife was going through a medical treatment and new onset disabilities, I thought to myself, Pops, you trained me how to work with people with disabilities. You were the reason why my wife had these challenges, so that I could be a good husband and provide that caregiver service to her. Now my wife needs support. In my mind, I thought that was why I had disability throughout my life. The people here we're honoring today are examples of strength, integrity, service to others, and role models. So important. You all are role models that we can follow. You have left your prints, no matter what kind of print, for future generations. In closing, all of you represent strength and integrity in the disability community as warriors and service providers to our country. Thank you so much, military and civilians, for what you do. Resilience is a word I use often, because those with challenges need to be resilient to overcome those barriers and that ignorance by design that is out there in society today. You all have it. Never forget the impact that you're making just representing here today, here at the Pentagon. We're recognizing you as warriors and for people that are making a difference and leaving your prints for future generations. And it is my great honor to be with you today with these warriors of service. Palamia Washdalo. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Wow. Mr. Warren, you've not only graced us with your presence, you've left an indelible mark on each of us. So let's give another round of applause for Mr. Warren. We now invite Mr. Vazirani to join us at the stage for the presentation of the 2023 Department of Defense Disability Awards to outstanding employees.
All right.
These awards honor those who have supported the DoD mission, including overseas contingency operations, and whose attributes best epitomize the qualities and core values of their respective military service or DoD component. The 2023 award recipients have been selected by their organizations from among thousands of Department of Defense employees. This year, awards are presented to 23 civilian employees with a range of disabilities whose commitment to excellence has contributed significantly to our ability to keep our nation safe and secure. Will the honorees please come forward as I call your names? From the Department of the Air Force, Ms. Megan Blyle. Ms. Blyle is a member of the Department of the Air Force Barrier Analysis Working Group Disability Action Team. As a volunteer member of this group, she has graciously dedicated countless hours analyzing and identifying anomalies in civilian and military workforce policies, procedures, and practices that limit opportunities for individuals with disabilities. Her involvement in this team has enabled meaningful engagement and helped foster disability inclusion across the Department of the Air Force. Ms. Blyle's accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Department of the Air Force. Congratulations, Ms. Blyle. And I have to mention, accepting the award for Ms. Blyle is Ms. Natalie Jack. Thank you, ma'am. From the Department of the Navy, the senior representative for the Department of the Navy is Senior Executive Service Member Mr. Robert Hogue, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Manpower and Reserve Affairs. Sir, if you please come forward and remain standing for all of the award recipients for Navy. Dr. Lori Stiglitz, Workforce Development Lead, Joint Hypersonics Transition Office, Crane, Indiana. Dr. Stiglitz has demonstrated exceptional leadership in furthering the development of key skill sets in hypersonic technologies at all academic levels. Her commitment to workforce development has led to innovative training programs and internships that have enabled students to gain vital experience in hypersonic technology development. Dr. Stiglitz' accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Department of the Navy. Congratulations, Dr. Stiglitz. From the Department of the Navy, Paul Luer, Deputy Department Head of the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Carteret Division, West Bethesda, Maryland. Mr. Luer has served the U.S. Navy for more than 35 years as an engineer and program manager. He distinguished himself in the provision of technical management and programmatic oversight to the efforts associated with ensuring a signature advantage for U.S. Navy vessels. Mr. Luer's accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Navy. Congratulations, Mr. Luer. From the Department of the Navy, Elrene Dabney, Naval Supply Command Management and Program Analyst, Weapons Systems Support, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ms. Dabney is the command liaison and subject matter expert for 2 critical workforce programs. She has contributed by expertly overseeing monumental tasks at the single largest activity within the Naval Supply Command enterprise. As a consummate trainer, Mrs. Dabney is keenly aware of simplifying learning tools for the workforce at large, benefiting everyone across the department. Her accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Department of the Navy. Congratulations, Mrs. Dabney. From the Department of the Navy, Ms. Kelly Luster, Director, Office of Corporate Communication, Naval Supply Weapons System Support, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Mr. Luster has been a key asset in developing multiple safety messages that have been used to educate and protect service members throughout all American forces. His vast experience, network of contacts, and understanding of processes and requirements to air products enabled for the widest dissemination across the Armed Forces network and direct to sailor. Mr. Luster's accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Navy. Congratulations, Mr. Luster. And lastly, but not leastly, from the Department of the Navy, Mr. Araf Al-Nadi Al-Apache, Emergency Management Assistant, Naval Air Station, Patuxent River Emergency Management, Patuxent River, Maryland. Mr. Al-Nadi Al-Apache has continuously displayed unwavering devotion to duty and exceptional performance throughout his career in DoD service. In 2019, he accepted his current position at Naval Air Station, Patuxent River, as a security assistant and was assigned to the Emergency Operations Center. He quickly established himself as a key member of the team, assisting in the planning and execution of numerous exercises. Mr. Apache's accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Navy. Congratulations, Mr. Al-Nadi Al-Apache. From the Department of the Army, Brenda Ann Gillis, Management Assistant, Directorate of Resource Management, Tobyhanna Army Depot, Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania. Ms. Brenda Ann Gillis has been working at the Tobyhanna Army Depot for more than 11 years. In her current position, she has improved key processes within her department that have resulted in an increase in productivity and engagement. Through her action, she encourages everyone to embrace the Army slogan, "Be all you can be," and is a true champion for others by bringing attention to any issues that may impact employees throughout the entire depot. Mrs. Gillis' accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Department of Army. Congratulations, Mrs. Gillis. From the Department of the Army, William Gwaltney, Cyber Engineer, U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command, Redstone Arsenal, Alabama. Mr. Gwaltney's work has greatly advanced the effort towards finding methods for defending small satellites and space systems against cyber attacks. The results of his work will benefit all space-focused agencies across the U.S. government. He also utilizes his knowledge and expertise to guide interns on the path to being better cyber engineers. Mr. Gwaltney's accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Army. Congratulations, Mr. Gwaltney. From the Department of the Army, Dr. Lamar Cunningham, Senior Auditor, U.S. Cyber Command, Office of Internal Review, Fort Gordon, Georgia. Dr. Cunningham has displayed a commendable record of service, achievement, and demonstrated skill and technical expertise as an auditor for the U.S. Army Cyber Command. He constantly excels and elevates the performance of his peers. Dr. Cunningham planned, organized, conducted research, and worked diligently to instantiate processes in support of the improvement of Army Cyber Command Directorate of Internal Review in the midst of a complex telework environment in order to secure that they were able to meet their important deadlines. His efforts reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Army. Congratulations, Dr. Cunningham. Also from the Department of the Army, Patrick Fowler, General Engineer, U.S. Army Combat Capabilities Development Command, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Mr. Fowler has been assigned to the U.S. Army Command Control Communication, Computers, Cyber Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Center, Research and Technology Integration Directorate since 2016. He is currently on special assignment as the C5ISR Global Technology Advisor to the United States Army Combat Command Capabilities Development Command Atlantic Station in London, United Kingdom. Mr. Fowler's performance in his current position has been described as outstanding, as he has displayed perseverance, great interpersonal skills, and dedication to duty. His accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Army. Congratulations, Mr. Fowler. From the Department of the Army, Igor Semyonov, mathematician, U.S. Army Combat Capabilities Development Center, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Mr. Semyonov is the lead algorithm developer for the C5ISR RTI Countermine Division, Countermine Technology Branch. In this role, he is a consistent innovator, bringing forth new ideas and devising methods to apply them to a wide array of problem sets. His approach and dedication helped the team to progress the development of sensors and algorithms that detect explosive hazards, potentially saving countless lives. Mr. Semyonov's accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Army. Congratulations, Mr. Semyonov. From the Department of the Army, Joseph R. Vance, Visual Information Specialist, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, New Orleans, Louisiana. Mr. Vance has been working with the USACE New Orleans District for more than 4.5 years, with nearly 11 years as a civil servant and 6.5 years in the U.S. Army. He aids with 508 compliance and accessibility for communications, ensuring technology procurements comply with Section 508 standards. Over the past year, he has exceeded the workloads of other visual information specialists by more than 50% and provided virtual communications for more than 1,200 combined soldiers, employees, and contractors. Mr. Vance's accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Army. Congratulations, Mr. Vance. From the Department of the Army, Lily Atkins Miller, Contract Specialist, Energy Division, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Huntsville, Alabama. As a trusted expert on automated systems, Ms. Miller's technical competencies as a contract specialist are of the highest standard, as she stays on top of all developments and provides training when needed to help all team members. She goes above and beyond as she consistently recommends and implements acquisition approaches that best meet a wide array of requirements. In addition to her regular duties, Ms. Miller serves in collateral duty capacity on the Special Emphasis Program Council as the co-chair of the Individuals with Disabilities Program, where she implements projects to ensure equal opportunity in the hiring, advancement, training, and treatment of all individuals with disabilities. Ms. Miller's accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Department of the Army. Congratulations, Ms. Miller. From the Department of the Army, Anna Muasis, District EEO Manager, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, San Francisco, California. Over the past 2 years, Ms. Muasis' personal and extraordinary dedication radically changed the climate, culture, and organizational effectiveness of the San Francisco District. Her keen vision of a model EEO program, coupled with expansive knowledge of both the Department of the Army and federal government policies, were essential to her many impressive achievements. Ms. Muasis proactively seeks to champion equal employment opportunity at every opportunity, always exceeding both the expectation of her leadership and peers. Her accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Department of the Army. Congratulations, Mrs. Muasis. From the Defense Logistics Agency, Vivian DeLalo, Management Analyst, DLA Installation Management, Fort Belvoir Business Management Division, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Ms. DeLalo has established herself as an essential part of the Business Management Division. She voluntarily assisted Ms. DeLalo constantly goes above and beyond what is expected of her, demonstrating an exceptional work ethic and dedication to DLA. Her accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Defense Logistics Agency. Congratulations, Ms. DeLalo. From the Defense Logistics Agency, Gregory Ramsey, Support Agreements Manager, Installation Management, Columbus, Ohio. Mr. Ramsey has made significant contributions to the success of the overall installation management team. He has displayed his great management skills by leading his team to meet key mandated goals in a timely manner. Mr. Ramsey is also advocate for those with disabilities and serves as the chairperson for the People with Disabilities Employment Program Committee in Columbus. His accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Defense Logistics Agency. Congratulations, Mr. Ramsey. From the Army Air Force Exchange Service, Petra Ike, Office Assistant, Army Air Force Exchange Service, Little Rock, Arkansas. Ms. Ike is known for her commitment to not only serving the military community, but also for her commitment to serving the community outside the gate. Her dedication to service is a true embodiment of family serving family. In her primary role as office assistant, she engages with internal and external customers to provide the utmost customer experience. Mrs. Ike is known throughout the Little Rock Air Force Base community as someone who will partner and help with whatever is needed to improve and sustain quality of life on base. Her accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Department of the Army. Congratulations, Ms. Ike. From the Defense Commissary Agency, Abigail Chester, Mission Support Clerk, Lackland Air Force Base, San Antonio, Texas. Ms. Chester has consistently functioned in an exemplary fashion throughout her Defense Commissary Agency career. Ms. Chester is a meticulous individual who works diligently to ensure the integrity of the Lackland Air Force Base commissaries by certifying that pricing and signages are accurate and aesthetically pleasing. Her unwavering pursuit of excellence has been a great benefit for both internal and external customers alike. Ms. Chester's accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Defense Commissary Agency. Congratulations, Ms. Chester. From the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, Cynthia Icebones. Deputy Director, Office of Equal Employment Opportunity Programs, Indianapolis, Indiana. Cynthia Icebones has been a federal employee for 25 years. Ms. Icebones is responsible for implementing a continuing affirmative employment program to promote equal employment opportunity, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility at DFAS. Throughout her journey, Ms. Icebones has been a change agent for DEIA practices in the agency and is a true advocate for the workforce recruitment program. Ms. Icebones consistently pushed for the creation of employee resource groups at DFAS, like the Leading Employees as Advocates for Disabilities, founded in 2022, attracting more than 60 members from all DFAS service sites. Ms. Icebones' accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the Defense Finance and Accounting Service. Congratulations, Ms. Icebones. From the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, Stephanie L. Schubert, Research and Development Scientist, Research Directorate, Springfield, Virginia. Ms. Schubert's work focuses on improving national security, imaging modalities, and exploring emerging technologies in the geointelligence space. She has served as the Deputy Chairperson of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Intelligence Community Affinity Network since February 2020, and the Deputy Chairperson for the Subcommittee Barrier and Accessibility Working Group since February 2018. Her steadfast support for employees with disabilities, her advocacy for disability barrier removal in the workplace, and her commitment to a more inclusive intelligence community show her dedication to the disability community. Ms. Schubert's accomplishments reflect great credit upon herself and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Congratulations, Ms. Schubert. From the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, Eric Posner, Hybrid Analyst, Africa Division, Springfield, Virginia. Mr. Posner has displayed his exceptional leadership in promoting an accessible and inclusive culture in NGA and the broader intelligence community. Mr. Posner is a member of and strong advocate for the deaf of hard of hearing community across NGA, academia, and the intelligence community. He shares his knowledge and expertise by teaching intermediate courses at Gallaudet University through NGA's partnership with the institution. Additionally, Mr. Posner demonstrated through his deployment as one of NGA's senior intelligence officers in Africa that being a member of the deaf and hard of hearing community does not prevent one from being a fully functional geo-intelligence officer. Mr. Posner's accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Congratulations, Mr. Posner. From the Department of Defense Education Activity, Chandler Pascal. Education Technician, Technology and Innovation Division, Quantico, Virginia. Mr. Pascal is a valued Department of Defense Education Activity employee in the Technology and Innovation Division, Instructional Design Branch. Mr. Pascal's support has been invaluable to the success of the instructional design program, as he is a consummate professional, exceeding the expectations of the team in promotion of the mission. He proactively took part in Department of Defense education activities, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, and expanded the capabilities of the instructional design branch to make student online experiences more accessible and inclusive. Mr. Pascal's accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of Defense education activity. Congratulations, Mr. Pascal. From the National Security Agency, Fadi Abu Shaban, Project Director, Continuity Planning, Fort Meade, Maryland. Mr. Abu Shaban plays a critical role in planning and implementing enterprise resilience, specifically the federal mission resilience strategy, while incorporating the needs of persons with disabilities into the resilience strategy. Mr. Abu Shaban also has been an inspiring and forward-leaning advocate for the deaf of hard of hearing community at NSA and beyond. Specifically, he championed establishing the Deaf of Hard of Hearing subcommittee of the NSA Persons with Disabilities Employee Resource Group and was named as first Deaf and Hard of Hearing subcommittee chair. Mr. Abu Shaban has brought deep technical expertise in information systems, technology, and cybersecurity, visionary product management skills, as well as strong leadership and mentoring at all levels. His accomplishments reflect great credit upon himself and the National Security Agency. Congratulations, Mr. Abu Shaban. Congratulations to all of our individual award winners again. And now for the 2023 Secretary of Defense Disability Awards for DoD components for their efforts to implement exemplary programs, policies, and practices to advance a diverse and inclusive workforce. Department of the Army. Department of the Army is recognized with the Secretary of Defense Disability Award for Best Military Department in advancing employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. Accepting the award for the department is Senior Executive Service Member Yvette Busico, Principal Deputy to the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Manpower and Reserve Affairs. Ma'am, thank you for coming. From the Defense Logistics Agency. DLA is recognized with the Secretary of Defense Disability Award for Best Mid-Size Component in Advancing Employment Opportunities for Individuals with Disabilities. Accepting the award for DLA is Vice Admiral Michelle Skubik and other team members. From the National Security Agency, NSA is recognized with the Secretary of Defense Disability Award for Best Intelligence Component Award in Advancing Employment Opportunities for Individuals with Disabilities. Accepting the award for NSA is Senior Executive Service Kathy Zubek, Director for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility, and other team members. And then our last award recipient, I'm sorry that we have to bring this to a close, but it is the Defense Technical Information Center. DTIC is recognized with the Secretary of Defense Disability Award for Best Small Size Component in Advancing Employment Opportunities for Individuals with Disabilities. Accepting the award for DTIC is Senior Executive Service Member Christopher Thomas, DTIC Administrator. Thank you, Mr. Vazirani. And to all of today's award recipients, we extend another grand round of applause to each of you. It has been an honor to serve as your Mistress of Ceremonies today. And as we draw near to conclusion of today's remarkable event, I'd like to invite another champion and friend of the disability community, Mr. Samuel Drummond, Associate Director, Disability Programs Directorate, Defense Human Resources Activity, for closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. Drummond.
You left the page up. That's all right. Okay. That's okay. I'll wing it. So, thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Vazirani, Dr. Arfa, Jim. Thank you, Charmaine, for being here today, putting this on. I'd like to congratulate the recipients of today's awards. Charmaine stole my thunder there. I was going to say give them a round of applause. I said give them a great round of applause. I'd like to thank all the DoD leadership for their great effort in continuing the hiring of individuals with disabilities and all our great efforts to complete this program. We thank you for your support, and we hope that you will continue to lead by example and work with individuals with disabilities to help us meet our goal. If you are wearing a red badge today, when you step outside, if you'll just wait for us, someone will be there to assist you. And if you're seated in the room and you need some kind of assistance, if you let us know, we'll help you out there. Again, thank you very much. This will conclude our ceremony for today. Thank you. Now everybody's happy. So thank you very much. That was